Jai Shri Ram. Now we come to Canto 104. The summary of the canto. Accompanied by Kaushalya and others, sage Vashishta proceeds to the hermitage of Sri Ram, showing to his co-wives the lumps of the pulp of ingudi fruit offered to the spirit of his deceased father by Sri Ram on blades of kusha grass placed with their ends pointing to the south along the bank of the Mandakini. On the way, Kaushalya grieves for her deceased husband. Reaching the hermitage, Kaushalya and others see the two brothers, Sri Ram and Lakshman, fall at their feet. Kaushalya bewails the lot of Sita when the latter falls at her feet. Bowing down to her feet, to the feet of his preceptor, Sri Ram takes his seat, accompanied by the counselors. Bharat too sits nearby. Now we start the chapter. Placing the widows of King Dashrath in the forefront, Vashishta, who was feeling authorized for the sight of Sri Ram, proceeded to that region where Sri Ram was sojourning. Making their way with slow paces towards the river Mandakini, the dowager queen saw there a descent suitable for bathing, etc., to the river resorted by Sri Ram and Lakshman. With a withering face, bathed in tears, Kaushalya spoke as follows to the afflicted Sumitra and the other queens that were present there. Here is the descent selected for the first time by those fatherless children who have been expelled from their kingdom and who are now living a hard life in the forest, though unwearied in action. Along this route, O Sumitra, does your elder son Lakshman ever unweariedly fetch water himself for the sakes of my son, his elder brother. Your son has not been subjected to any reproach, even though he has done menial service to his elder brother. All that which is devoid of use to one's elder brothers, who is held to be on a par with one's father, is censored by men possessed of noble qualities. Let this son of yours too, who is undeserving of hardships which are being experienced by him, totally give up the work in hand, whose execution is painful and fit for menials, now that his elder brother is soon returning to Ayodhya. The large-eyed Kaushalya presently saw the crushed pulp of ingudi fruits placed by Sri Ram on blades of kusha grass spread on the earth's surface with their ends pointing to the south as an offering intended for the gratification of his deceased father. Observing the said pulp placed on the ground by the afflicted Sri Ram for the gratification of his deceased father, the aforesaid Queen Kaushalya spoke as follows to all the other consorts of King Dashrath. Behold, here this offering made in accordance with the scriptural ordinance by Ram, a sign of Raghu, for the gratification of his high-souled father, the late King Dashrath, also a sign of Raghu, the lord of the Ikshvakus. I do not consider this food, viz. The pulp of the ingudi fruit, to be fit for the consumption of that high-souled monarch who vied with gods and had enjoyed all the luxuries of life, having ruled over the globe, bounded by the four oceans. How will the emperor, who was a compeer on earth of great Indra, be able to partake of crushed pulp of ingudi tree? Nothing in the world appears more painful to me than the occasion when Ram, who is full of riches of every description, should feel constrained to offer the crushed pulp of ingudi fruits to the spirit of his deceased father. Why does my heart not get split into 1,000 fragments through agony, perceiving the crushed pulp of ingudi fruits offered by Ram to the spirit of his deceased father. The popular saying that the deities of a man partake of the same food on which a man subsists appears undoubtedly true to us. Comforting the afflicted Kaushalya in the foregoing words on that occasion, her aforesaid co-wives departed with Kaushalya and beheld Sri Ram seated in his hermitage like an immortal fallen from heaven. Distressed to observe the celebrated Sri Ram shorn of all luxuries, his mothers wept loudly, emaciated as they were through grief. Duly rising from his seat, Sri Ram, a veritable tiger among men, who was true to his promise, clasped the lion feet like feet of all his aforesaid mothers. With their lovely hands, which were delightful to the touch and the base of whose fingers was exceptionally soft, those large-eyed ladies wiped the dust off Sri Ram's back. Distressed to perceive all the aforesaid mothers, Lakshman, son of Sumitra, too fondly greeted them immediately after Sri Ram. All the ladies behaved towards the celebrated Lakshman, sprung from the loins of Dashrath, who was endowed with auspicious bodily marks in the same way as they did towards Sri Ram. Holding firmly the feet of the said mothers-in-law, Sita too stood agonized before them with her eyes full of tears. Embracing her as a mother would embrace her own daughter, the sorrow-stricken Kaushalya spoke as follows to Sita, who looked withered through exile in the forest. I wonder how the consort of Ram, daughter of Janak, a royal personage of Videha clan and daughter-in-law of Emperor Dashrath, has undergone suffering in a lonely forest. The fire of grief produced by firewood of adversity and existing in my mind, O princess of the Videha kingdom, burns me to the core, even as the element of fire consumes the very substance that sustains it. When I gaze on your countenance, resembling a lotus scorched by the sun, a crushed lily, gold spoiled with dust, and the moon obscured by clouds. Reaching the feet of Vashishta while his distressed mother was speaking as aforesaid, Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, the elder brother of Bharat, clasped them. Holding the feet of the said priest, who was possessed of very great splendor and resembled the fire god, even as Indra, the ruler of gods, would clasp the feet of Brihaspati, the preceptor of gods, Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, took his seat with Vashishta himself. Thereupon, along with his friends, counselors, and the foremost of citizens, as well as with the troops of men who knew best what is right, the celebrated Bharat, who was full of piety, sat down on that occasion close to his elder brother Sri Ram at his back. Perceiving Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, blazing with glory in the garb of an ascetic, Bharat, for his part, who was seated close by at that time, was exceedingly powerful, folded his arms in the same way as the mighty Indra submissively would before Brahma, the lord of created beings. A great curiosity really arose at that moment in the minds of those worthies assembled there as to what submission yonder Bharat would now politely make after bowing low and paying his homage to Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, that day. Nay, surrounded by their near and dear ones, the celebrated Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, who was firmly devoted to truthfulness, and the noble-minded Lakshman and the pious Bharat shone brightly on the sacrificial ground like the three sacrificial fires. known by the names of Grahapatya, Ahavanya, and Dakshina, accompanied by the superintending priests. Thus ends Canto 104 in the Ayodhya-Kand of the glorious Ramayana of Valmiki, the work of a rishi and the oldest epic. Jai Shri Ram.